Stevie, thank you so much for joining me again on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Nice to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for those that don't know who you are, where you are in the world, do you want to give us a little bit of background, like who are you, what do you do, how did you get to be doing what you're doing right now?
Oh, wow. So who am I? So my name's Stevie. Stevie English is my business name. My real name is Steve Cawthorne, but everyone calls me Stevie or Stevie English. I have been hairdressing for 27 years, I think. It's a long time now. You can tell by, the wrinkles and the fact that I have no hair and all that sort of stuff. And I have a salon in Sydney with 15 staff called Stevie English Hair. And I am the Evo Global Creative Director for Colour. So I'm in charge of Colour for Evo. And we launched all of Evo's Colour this year, which is very exciting. What else can I tell you? I'm the Australian Creative Colorist of the Year this year. So I won that in June. I've won it before. Thank you very much. Thank you. I just color hair. So for anyone listening, I'm a purist in terms of how I started my hairdressing, and that's how it was. That's how we had to do it back then in London. And so I just color hair and sort of play with Evo, which is lots of fun, and I guess help manage my team with my wife.
Yeah, nice. I know that the last time that we chatted, I loved our conversation because we were so aligned in a lot of the thinking and the way that you run your business. So it's really nice to have you back. But you are in lockdown, and you have been for a long time, and you're still going to be for a long time. Talk to me a little bit about that experience, because this is the longest time, second time round, but this is the long time.
Yep. So we're on I think it's like either 8th week or 9th week in lockdown here in Sydney, Australia. And it feels weird. I'm in my salon, so I've driven here because I've got kids who are on homeschool, and to try and do like a Zoom meeting, and they're in their Zoom classrooms, the bandwidth, and someone shouts down, "Who's on the internet?" And so that's the Australian internet for you. So I've come to the shop, and it feels quite weird coming to the salon where there's nothing, even after 8 weeks of doing, all the hair's fallen down to the floor. It still could probably do with a bit of a brush and stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of coping, I think my wife and I are coping well. We're keeping busy. We've been painting our house and stuff like that, doing little bits and pieces. And I mean, but also, I mean, connecting with your staff, doing all that sort of stuff. So firstly, I think you get quite selfish in your headspace. And I think the first 2 weeks was a bit of, you don't really know what's going on. Oh, is it going to be for a week? Is it going to be for 2 weeks? I'm just going to get drunk. And I think that's what I did I think we definitely did that for 2 weeks. And then we're like, okay, this is going to be much longer. And so then and although we were already doing twice a week Zooms with our staff, which we've now down to one because I think it was a bit of overkill. But it's definitely different. And so I think that first 2 weeks was what's going on. And now we've got into a swing of things of, okay, I have a checklist every day that I have to do. I have a certain amount of exercise I have to do. We even take the kids out before they do the Zoom with the dogs, just so that you're not going from your pajamas straight into going to a classroom. Or, I think it's really important, that sort of stuff. So yes, I mean, I don't know what else really to say rather than, I mean, we're doing some click and collects as a salon, and we're sort of, we have, shampoos and conditioners and treatments, your K18s and all that sort of stuff. So, so you've got a little revenue stream. So clicking off your website, and you're pushing through your stories and trying to do that stuff. But predominantly, I have been painting. I was gurneying my garage last night, and I've been surfing a lot. So
nice.
An exercise. Yeah, it's good.
How was your surf this morning?
I think I might have broken my nose this morning, so I was just sort of off air and just sort of, so I don't know if you can tell, but it's pretty solid out there. We've got a big south swell coming, so I make it sound like I'm a real hell man. And obviously, I'm obviously not that good because my own board hit me. So it's fine. Yeah.
Tell me what is the biggest challenge for the team, if any? Like, you've got yourself into a nice routine, you've got kids in school and a house, and there's lots going on. What about the team? Like, you've gone from 2 meetings a week to 1. Is there, like, one of the things I'm aware of is people who have less structure, or mental health, or feeling alone. Like, how has it been for them, their experience?
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, we're really lucky. We've got a really motivated, engaged team, and they're definitely missing her, and they're definitely missing each other, actually. So and actually, we've, in where I live, in Sydney and Maroubra, there's like 4 of us that all live in Maroubra, so we quite often see each other walking the dogs around the beach, and Mel has a swim, one of the other girls, and so and I have surf with Harrison, so it is. We've got some connection, but there's definitely some of the other girls that live further away, that are a bit more alone. And as a team, or as a leader, I've tried to sort of instill what we should be doing, but I can't make them come onto a Zoom call. So I've said to all of them, if you want to come on and talk, please do. And Mel and I are always there to have a chat. And if you don't, I get that as well. You got to do what's best for you. And I do think that the ones that seem most engaged, or most that either missing the team, are in every week. We're doing quizzes. We've done, Mel and I've sent out some margarita kits and stuff. So how to make the perfect margarita. So it's little things like that. And but everyone's on their own journey, and I think that it's really important for me as a person, as a business owner, and as a leader, is to remember that people are on their own journey. I'm walking in my shoes, and I can't, and if someone who's walking their shoes does something that I wouldn't do, I can't be angry with that, or I can't question it. I just think, because it's so different, and it's for all of us, we've never been in a place like this before, where we're told, since I was 17, I've been hairdressing and working, and really not had a day off. I've had holidays, and et cetera, but and all of a sudden you're told you can't do what your passion is and your love, and so and that's quite challenging. But I would say that for, again, Mel and I definitely really believe in not worrying about stuff that I can't control.
Yeah, I really love that about them walking in their own shoes, and because I think sometimes we can hold on to our team so strongly. They're so important for the lifeblood of our business, but sometimes I think it's easy to hold on too long, too strongly, to how they do things, or how they're living their own lives, and the impact that has on our business. It's hard to find that balance, I think, for a lot of owners. So I like that perspective. It's like we can only lead and guide, we can't control.
And I think micromanagement for me isn't something that I'm a fan of. I think leading with empathy is probably a better way of doing it, and that your team are your lifeblood of your business, and you can't do it without them. And so there's always a happy X from what you want and what they want, and you have to find that. And I think, and it's not the same, it's not round holes, square pegs, or whatever it is. It's really trying to and I think in today's business, and I think we might see this actually coming out of lockdown more, is in today's businesses, people will want their own stuff more because they've just been around. And I think it's really important to understand that and be flexible. And I think that if you can find someone that wants to work 2 days a week, and they don't want to work a Saturday, you've got to make that work for your business, because, and those long term will be, we've got staff that've been with us for 14 years, pretty much from day one. And it's been able to adapt and help, and I would say that is probably a little bit of a secret of our success, in terms of we really appreciate our team, and we have to try and mold and bend for them. Obviously there's it makes it sound like we're pushovers, and that's not it at all. There's always there's things that we will accept, and there's things we won't accept, and we have team values, and we have all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, you want your mums to go home and see their kids to put to bed. You don't want them staying back late at night, and that breeds negativity and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I guess I can see too that sometimes when a business gets to a certain size, it has a little bit more freedom and flexibility to be flexible for its team members, because there's always a core group, or there's enough to go around. I can see that that's more challenging when you've got a smaller business and you're trying to just cover opening hours, for example, or have enough people on a Saturday. There's a little bit of a benefit of more flexibility as you get slightly larger and you have some longer term people. Would you say that's true?
I absolutely. And I mean, and again, what works in our business isn't necessarily going to work in everyone's business. And I would always, and I've been in many business seminars and I listen to lots of fantastic hairdressers. And I think, you've got to understand that their business is their business, right? And how they run it and what they do is, you actually just have to listen and go, that's a good idea. How can I adapt that for myself? But I do think in COVID times, I do think that the adaptation or the change of people's mindset, there might be more people that want to work at a different time schedule. And, we might end up having more staff that work less hours. People might go, I actually really enjoyed having the time off to see my partner, to see my kids, to walk my dog. Maybe I can do that. I don't know. And maybe there's going to be a lot of businesses that, struggle and go under for those reasons. I don't know.
I definitely feel there's a sort of a global awakening or a movement or shift towards, what is the purpose of my life? Where am I investing my time and my focus, and what do I actually like and care about? Maybe because we've all paused and had a moment to think or to experience it even.
Yeah. I mean, I can see what my retirement's going to be like. And I definitely think the hours are great, but the financial side's pretty shit, right? And so then so you're like, well, and so I guess it's trying to find that balance. And I think that balance is what you want for your team as well. It's not much point having your team working 40 hours a week and they have no life balance either. So I think that sort of stuff for me is really important. And coming out of COVID, I think, yes, we've been 8 weeks, but I know that I've got friends in the UK, right? And they were in 9 months in lockdown, right? And so there's a lot of hairdressers like, well, maybe I should do something else. Maybe I don't want to do hair anymore, and which is why I think it's been important for us as owners to check in with our guys, to just to make sure that they're okay. And I guess Mel and I have always had that thing that we want to be the preferred place to work, but at the same time, if someone wants to move on and try something else, we want you want to clap them out as well. It's that sort of we try.
Yep, exactly. I want to touch on something that you said just at the beginning about you only being a colorist and what that looks like and how you structure your team around that. Have you always been purely a colorist, and how does that work in your team dynamic? Who does what and when, and how's that structured?
Yeah, so when I started hairdressing in 1993, I am that old. That was sort of in London. That was what happened quite a lot. You were, Tony and Guy still do that model, and so I did actually learn to cut, but only in the first 2 years. And I was never very good at like pulling something out and doing that and really working out where it was going to go. I've watched so many of the great hairdressers these days from around the world that I can get away with it a bit more. I could, I'm probably better than I think. But in terms of when we opened the salon, I brought in someone just to cut and I just colored. But then as we've grown, I sort of didn't want my staff to be in a position where, like me, where I've been on a shoot and they asked me to do something. I'm like, well, that's not my skill set. I can't do it. And so we've really worked our guys so that we've got, I've got Leanne, who does a lot of our training, and Dave, who does all our cutting training. And so we try and work between us. So we upskill all of our stuff so they can do everything. So I am the only one in our salon that only just colors. And then I have Dave, who is one of the oldest statesmen in the salon, who's 63. and was an ex-Sassoon's trainer, an ex Tony and Guy trainer, and he just cuts hair. But the rest of the guys do everything. But in our training, how we work it through our sort of academy or salon floor is we teach the guys to blow dry first, because then they can finish off and make money. Then they go into color, because then we can, they can do a tint regrowth. I can tell color formulas, then we go into highlight, so that again, they can make money. So by the end of the second year or 2.5 years they're in, they are actually financially viable for a salon. And then that sort of last year is when they're cutting. And we work it so that for the young superstar colorists who do that, we give the financial benefits to the stylists, so that they can go, well, you've done my tint regrowth here. The money goes to them. The younger or the less experienced team members are getting experience, and they're enjoying it. They're getting their confidence. They're getting their talk. And it's not quite hand holding, but it almost is. And then by the time they've finished their varding or finished their haircuts and Dave's ticked them off, they've got confidence with clients, and that they're off and running.
Yeah, I love that. We ran a very similar system. We split the income. A small piece was siphoned off to pay for the colorist and the apprentice, and they got 80% of,
mate, I was about to say, we take 19%. 19% stays in the business for that, for color. Same.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a great model, because it means you've always got somebody up and coming, and they're well versed with the conversation and how to manipulate hair and all of those things by the time they have to pick up a pair of scissors.
Absolutely. And I think that in real terms, in every business, whatever your business, people complain about staff, either not finding it or having the right one. And I think that if you are spending time and money in training your team, then when someone leaves, you hopefully, or you do have the pathway for those guys to move in. And it might not happen straight away, but for us, that has happened over the years. We've had some great people work for us, and when they've decided to move on for greener pastures or for new pastures or new endeavors, we've had someone ready to almost walk in, and sometimes absolutely step in, and sometimes we've had to groom them a little bit more. But it definitely works.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's something that we maybe as an industry don't do enough of, is this kind of career pathing, setting out a lifetime potentially of, this is how you can progress and what you can do within our business. And I think that's the first huge chunk of that, right?
Yeah, and I think people or parents have always sort of looked at hairdressing as potentially not that great a job or a career. And I think that now, if you ask most people in lockdown after 8 weeks, is hairdressers essential? They're going to be, I really miss my hairdresser. And I've had quite a few people saying, in the next lockdown, my bubble body is going to be my hairdresser.
Yeah.
My house is going to be very, very full. So we are essential, but also the career pathways that you can from hairdressing go into, from like me, you go in and work with a product company on a creative level. You can go in and you can leave hairdressing in a way but go into sales for a product company. Then you've got your session styling and all that sort of stuff. There's so many.
Business ownership.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. So you go into managing first of all, and then going into business ownership and all of that stuff. So there's so many great pathways, and it's when in our appraisals we try and say, what do you want to do? Where do you want to where do you want to go? And what we know, we've got some of our staff that are going to make great business owners. And I think that we haven't done our job properly if, when they go off and do it, that they haven't had the right tools or the right sort of help and guidance over the years. So and I look forward to watching them do well.
Stevie, have you ever considered doing business partnerships as a sort of a next progression of people going and doing it on their own? Pros and cons?
We've definitely considered it. So at one point we had 2 salons. and 40 odd staff. And that was challenging for us, as you know, we had reasonably young kids then. And I was traveling for a product company around the globe as well. So there was, I think one year I was out of the country 4 months, you know, doing stuff in North America and Europe and stuff, and super great for me, but very challenging for running 2 businesses when you have a lot of staff.
Yeah.
You know, and putting a lot of pressure on Mel, my wife and business partner. So if we were to do it again, that would be the model we would look at, in terms of go in 50-50. And we Mel and I have talked about it, but it has to be the right person. And when we've talked to staff through the years, over the years, about doing it, and I think people will either go, oh, but if I do 50-50 with you, you know, I'm losing 50, and I get that too, you know, like, but who knows, you know, I think when we lost, or when we our lease came up for our salon in Bondi, I think Mel and I were like, never again. And then I think the 5 years since, we're getting into that place now where, like, we could definitely help set someone up and do it. But I think our next, well, I know our next goal will be to buy our business, buy our shop, so that we've got another revenue stream in terms of owning the freehold, owning your building.
Current location or somewhere new?
I don't think our landlord would sell this, so we would probably have to look. So, but I think that will be our next goal.
Just on a side note, before I just do want to quickly touch on sort of environmental practices, just on a quick note, I was having a conversation with someone the other day about business partnership, and someone was wanting to come and buy in and be part of the business. And so it just didn't feel right for me. So I did a quick Google search. What's the percentage of successful marriages? 49% of marriages are successful. It's pretty low, I thought.
Oh, that's higher than I thought.
Percentage of successful business partnerships. And do you know what it said? 20%. No, it actually said 80% of business partnerships fail.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, wow, that's really telling. That's even more difficult than managing a marriage.
Yeah, well, I think relationships are tough at the best of times, and I think that when you're in a marriage, there's fors and against, right? Or there's good times and bad times, and you can always work through those things. But obviously, sometimes when you're in a business relationship, some of the good times you don't really share in the same way as you do with a partner. I'm trying to say sex, but without name, but you know, but you know, so without sharing that, so yeah, so I was trying to be diplomatic. I don't know why. It's really not like me at all. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah.
And I would never. I mean, I wouldn't have anyone come into our business that hadn't been a part of it and go into business. You know, if someone said, I've got this money, can I do one? I'd be like, no, unless they came and worked for us for a few years. You know, because you just have to see that stuff. But I mean, we'll never say never, but you know, who knows?
Yeah, that's right. All right, just very quickly before we wrap up, I'm keen to know, you're sort of an environmentally friendly as a big piece of your business strategy. What led you to this, and what are some of the simple things that you do?
I think 15 years ago when we opened our business, that was, you know, when you read all the business books and all the, you know, you're like, how am I going to do this? And that they talk about your green cow, or they talk about the, you know, what is your unique selling point? Yeah, I think it was purple, but you know, you got the point. Everyone wants the green cow. You know, what's your unique selling point? We changed the purple cow to a green cow, is where, and so the idea was, it was things that we thought about in terms of how we lived our life. We've got, you know, issues climate wise here in Australia. You know, we've got young kids, the ocean's getting polluted, all that sort of stuff. And so it was like, well, it makes sense to how we live our life to bring it into our business, but also use that as a part of our marketing.
Yeah.
Green hair is never that good, but it's getting cooler, I guess. But it definitely helped us in our marketing. And little things that we did. I mean, when we first opened, a lot of the stuff was we didn't buy anything new. We bought everything secondhand and recycled. So we could do that stuff. We carbon credited at the beginning, but we don't do that anymore. All like from gas rather than electricity, and having your hot water sitting there boiling away all the time. So we looked at grey water systems, and when we buy a building, we'll put a grey water system in. But when you don't own the building, the rebates aren't there, and it's not worth it. Same with solar. So when we own a building, we will put solar across the roof, so you can offset all that stuff. But again, without owning the freehold or it doesn't financially make sense. And then you're recycling. So and fortunately, in Australia and New Zealand, we have sustainable salons, and we've been with those guys from pilot to right across, so which worked really well. And I think it's a really good message for clients as well, knowing how much you recycle your foil, and foil's recyclable infinitely. So, and actually interesting, I've read something the other day that this colored foil that's come out now, that's actually not that good for the environment, because it is the lowest of the low grade foil. Whereas actually the silver foil is actually much better for the environment. So that's sort of the cheaper foil, that colored stuff, but it does look pretty in the hair and on Instagram, so I get it. But just remember, it's like it from
just remember the planet. Just remember the planet, please.
Mate, pretty's good, but planet's better. But yeah, so just that recycling stuff, and all of our taps, and all we've got eco heads on it, so the shower heads, less water, better. And when we opened, we had an environmentally friendly Salon brand, and that was a part of our ethos running through, which was O&M. And then we moved to the L'Oreal group, and I was with L'Oreal for 6 years, and they were great for our business. And Owen, don't get me wrong, O&M was great for us when we first started, and moving through with Matrix was a fantastic opportunity, and really helped our business grow, and helped me personally grow, I guess, in terms of helping win awards and taking me around the globe many times. And then actually coming back to Evo, coming to Evo, and Evo is Australian, and it's the most gentlest color. That's no ammonia. But with high performance, and we've worked really hard there. And so I actually feel like I've come back to my roots when coming back, and I didn't feel, and as much fun as I'd had with L'Oreal, I didn't quite sit right. We needed it as a business, as their business at the beginning, but moving back to an Australian-owned product, that all of that stuff really ticks the boxes, and makes you feel good, and the color and the products speak for themselves as well, the results. So it does for us and our staff. We love that sort of Evo Australian ethos, so it's great. Yeah,
nice. Yeah. Okay. I love it. All right. We could keep talking, and I could keep asking you questions, but the one I do have here is, as a business owner, what is a quote or a mantra? There's something that keeps you strong and focused in or out of lockdown. What can you share with us?
A quote. I don't know if I mean, I don't know if I have quotes, because I mean, there's loads, and I've lots of. I think the Richard Branson one. What if you don't train them and they stay? What if you train them and they go? But what if you don't train them and they stay? So that one's probably, so we really believe in education, so that would probably be high up on there. And I think it actually, the one mantra would be the preferred place to work. We really try and make our salon environment the preferred place for our team, and we try and make it as for whatever you're into, and whoever and however. We try and use that between Mel and I, and our empathy and that dynamics to create a harmonious, fun, energetic place to work. And really, that's probably where it comes down to.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
I
a
love
quote.
it. Yeah, no, well, there's a good mantra, right? There's a good mantra that keeps you on the straight and narrow and super focused. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Very on point. Yeah. Well, Stevie, thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom. Where can we stalk you? Because I know people will.
I am on Instagram, so I am Stevie English, and that's my personal account, which is mostly hair, to be fair, but all my stories of me surfing and messing around and drinking. And then the salon is Stevie English Hair. I have to admit that a part of my something I did last year, I decided not to go. I've still got a Facebook account, but I don't use it, purely because I just, yeah, that's another side note, but it was taking too much of my time. So, and again, it wasn't serving me. And so I guess it's one of those things that when something's not serving you, it's time to just let it go.
Yeah. I love that as a mantra in itself.
So there you go. So yeah, in Stevie English Hair.
Nice. Stevie, thank you so much for, thank you so much for driving all the way down to the salon, spending some time with us, sharing your words of wisdom. I really do appreciate it.
Larissa, thank you for having me again. It's actually a nice excuse to put on something other than scroll t-shirt. Reasonably nice, and it makes me feel, it's a thing I've ticked off today. So it's good. Thank you.
Glad I could help.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Cheers, mate.